It's like it just shows through and through, like, when I'm on my calendar, like, doing it, like, consistently, I get much better results than when I'm just kinda posting free for all, but I think it's a struggle for folks because, there's with wearing all the hats in business, how do we create that? How do we create that habit to make that consistent? Hey, boss Facebook group, Kay and Tanner here, and today we're going to be talking about creating your content calendar. Hey, Tanner, how's it going?
It's good. I'm excited to be, jump back in this week, talking a little bit more on marketing and social content and different ways that we can leverage it and hopefully provide little tidbits of fun information, things like that for people to actually use and leverage. So excited to be here. Excited to jump in.
Same here. And this is such a good topic too, because I think it's something that we all can be refining and we can all create something that works for us specifically. We don't have to be posting every single day and we can create a calendar that fits our lifestyle and fits our business and that works for our audience. And so I'm excited to kind of dive in on this too. So, what are your thoughts on content calendars?
I'm a big fan of calendars and structuring it out. Sure for everyone out there that has kind of different productivity systems, there's different ways to approach it. But I found that when it comes to like posting content in general, whether it's on any of the social platforms to even consistently doing blog posts or long form videos on YouTube or anything like that, it's about consistency and getting into the rhythm and making sure that it's done over and over and over again. So because of that, I absolutely love calendars and schedules and kind of planning it out. It really should be social media marketing, and marketing requires a plan. So there's no reason that this also shouldn't require a plan.
Oh, I 100% agree. It's like it just shows through and through, like, when I'm on my calendar, like, doing it, like, consistently, I get much better results than when I'm just kinda posting free for all, but I think it's a struggle for folks because, there's with wearing all the hats in business, how do we create that habit to make that consistent? What are some of your biggest takeaways on making successful, calendars?
I've gone through a few different iterations. The I'll kind of speak to kind of what I've done. I think that's maybe the easiest place to start. It's worked for me. I think for everyone in the group, find what works best for you and kind of how you navigate tasks. But I've gotten to this point where I'm consistently posting on a lot of different platforms. So I'm going wide, right? I'm
Mhm.
on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, like all the different platforms. I'm not saying that that's what everybody has to do, but for me, I had to come up with a system that I could consistently work through. And I use a combination of, or have been using a combination of calendars and like task reminders. So
Mhm.
as an Apple user, like using the calendar app and then the reminders app is like my best friend.
Mhm.
So what I do is I look at a weekly calendar and I kind of plan it out that way. First thing I look at is I got to create the content first, or I got to curate the content first. I can't just say I'm going to post something without knowing that I've got something to post.
Mhm.
So typically, what I'll do, kind of calling back to our conversation last week on like repurposing content, I usually schedule a reminder on Mondays to write a long form like blog post or article. I'll take like a topic and I'll just like take only that's the only thing for that day. I just sit down and I write a long form like blog post. Then on Tuesday, I have a second reminder that pops up, and that says, "Now go record 3 to 4 short form videos on that post that you just wrote." So I'm not coming up with like new content. I'm just saying, "All right, this part of this I can talk about this. This part of this I can do that." And then Wednesday, a reminder pops up saying, "Now it's time to edit and prepare all of those videos." So now you've got all the different content pieces. Thursday is then a reminder of now schedule all those things. So go into your
Mhm.
different platforms, things like that, and actually start scheduling. Some of the platforms allow you to schedule, some don't if you're just doing it directly in the platform. But that's what I'll do, and then I'll kind of look at if I have 5 pieces of content. I know that on maybe that's Monday through Friday, and I'm going to pick like my dates and times for the following week. So this is all like the week prior, and it just like gets into the rhythm of doing it. and then scheduling those things ahead of time or putting reminder tasks at specific times both in my calendar and on my reminders app for those specific days to go in and actually post the content. It's all created, it's all ready to go. I just need to actually now take that time to take the next step and actually post it.
Yeah, that's a really good system. I'm definitely going to take notes there because that's something I've been on a learning curve with is how do I create the right consistency? Like, when it comes to being like a business owner and you're just starting out and you're wearing so many hats, that may seem like a lot of content, a lot of steps. What if someone doesn't have that kind of time? What are some of your best practices for like creating a calendar that works for you? Maybe it's only posting 2 or 3 times a week.
Yeah, man, there's a lot that I could go into with that question. I think, start with where you're at is probably the easiest answer. I know almost could seem like a cop-out answer, like just, yeah, do whatever you can. But it's important to understand what's the overarching goal. Like how
Mhm.
important is it for your business or your industry, that how consistently do you need to post? For some industries, you may only need two, three, 4 times a week. For others, you may need to be a thought leader and you're out there, 10 times a week.
Mhm.
That's going to kind of dictate how much time you need to spend. Um, I don't think it has to take as much time as people think it does if you break it into like each day I'm going to take 30 to 60 minutes versus
Mhm.
like I need a 4 hour block of time on one day. I think yeah, everyone works a little bit differently. Some people are way better if they can just get into a creative space and take a 3, 4, 5 hour block of time one day a week and focus on all of it.
Mhm.
Others need to break it up into, well, I only have 30 minutes here and I only have an hour here,
Yeah.
and kind of focus that. That's what I've found has worked best for me currently.
Mhm.
I'd love to do it all in just one day and be done with it. It's just not the reality, right? So I think it's a matter of prioritizing where it fits, and for some people, it just may not be a priority marketing strategy. For others, it may be really important to do it. For even others out there, maybe I need to take 30 minutes a day to come up with the outline and then delegate the rest to my team to be able to have them do it. It really just kind of depends on where you're at in that spectrum in business and being able to hand some things off and really understand the overarching calendar that and schedule that they have.
Oh, definitely. That's a really good point too, because that's how I'm kind of looking at like what do I do with mine as well, in my business. It's like kind of sporadic. So I'm trying to like kind of hone that in a little bit more and create a system. So this is a really great way to do it. And the time blocking in your calendar is awesome. Like you can set yourself up for success. It's just another thing on your calendar, like you would a meeting or something else that's on your to-do list. And so if you just kind of can sneak it in there. Another kind of fun tip that just came to my mind is habit stacking. I don't know. Have you ever heard of habit stacking?
Yeah, I love that topic. Go ahead, dive into that for us.
Yeah, so habit stacking is just like what it sounds. Like you already have something that you do consistently, like brushing your teeth, right? Say you're brushing your teeth every night before bed. You don't even think about it. You just do it. You can't sleep if you don't do it. It's kind of a very simple thing. But say you want to add like a face routine to that. I know I'm just kind of doing on like my own personal stuff, but like you can stack that habit of washing your face and moisturizing along with your toothbrush habit because you're already in there. So the same thing goes with your marketing, with your social media. If you're already checking your emails at 8 a.m. every day, maybe that's the perfect time. Maybe after your emails, since you've seen everybody, you've been talking to people, you're in that kind of social mood already online. That would be a great time to like schedule out your posts. And so you can use your current schedule to help kind of amplify that and you just add it onto that. And so that's something that's helped me over the years is just like creating, something that's already on a habit that I already have. And then it makes it seem like less work. And then you like as you go too, it gets easier. It does become a habit and it becomes second nature. And then you're like, if you don't post, you're like, whoa, I'm missing something. And so that's been something that's helped me along the years.
And I love that. It reminds me back to I think it's in a couple of Russell Brunson's books on when he was starting to kind of get into creating content for his brand and things like that, one of the things that he did is he had a commute every single day. He got in the car and he had to drive to the office, and that was a 15-20 minute drive where he could just either turn on a voice recording or just the camera and actually just talk about some different things that then became the content that he was posting for that day, or scheduling for the future. But it was just like it was a habit, a routine that he already had. It was dead space, that didn't take more time away from his schedule to be able to do those types of things.
Mm.
And I think that's so important to kind of think about where might be some of those things. Where do you just go for a 30-minute walk even, and I can take 10 minutes of that and just let my brain kind of talk about different creative things. And that piece of the habit stacking, I think, is absolutely fantastic. And then if you compare similar activities, right? If I'm in a planning mode in general, because I'm planning out the other tasks that I have to do for the week, I'm in a planning mindset. Well, let's just take an extra 15 minutes during that planning session to then plan for what I'm going to post the next week as well. Like, it's just a similar type of kind of mental space to be in. I've found that to be kind of the easiest way to get to stack a few of those things together.
Oh, those are great tips too. I love that. And that's like, yeah, those are just simple ways to make it easier on you that it's not another daunting thing. It's just part of your routine. And those are some like good tips and tricks to make it simple. I'd love to know, Tanner, what are some of your favorite ways to like distribute the posts? Like what are some, do you use a platform? Do you just do everything manually? How do you like to work that part of it?
Ooh, so for a long time, I was doing everything manually, both for the business and for kind of my personal stuff. Recently, I've shifted over and I found a pretty good platform to use in terms of being able to schedule things ahead of time. I had to find something that allowed me to connect everything. And for those of you out there that are doing it on your personal stuff, most of the scheduling things, like platforms like say like Hootsuite as an example, unless you have a business profile, sometimes a professional profile, depends on the platform. It will, like, you can't use those things if it's just personal profiles.
Mm-hmm.
They have some of those things kind of locked down, things like that. So it's important to kind of understand business versus personal and kind of what tools you can and can't use. But for the longest time, it was literally, I went on to each platform individually and I put it on there and I posted it directly that way, which was a lot more work. And then I shifted over to using a different platform that allows me to still post different versions or different types of content at the same time, so that I can, curate a type of content for LinkedIn that's going to be different than on TikTok, even though it's like the
Mm-hmm.
same thing, but they're kind of edited and like there's two different pieces of content. Because I think it's important to understand that when you're doing a lot of different platforms, what you post on each needs to be different. Just doing one and then allowing it to go to everything isn't always the best bang for your buck. It's an easy way
Yeah.
to get started. So I love using platforms. And what I use today is I'll schedule about a week in advance. I'll take an hour on a, oh, whatever day that is now, Wednesday or Thursday, and actually just schedule out all of the posts for the following week, so that I
Mm-hmm.
don't have that extra time the following week that I have to worry about actually posting it. But
Oh,
for the
yeah.
longest time, it was just doing it manually, and then was able to shift a few things over, moved some of my personal profiles into business profiles, and now I can start to leverage some of that technology.
That's really powerful too, because that's like where I'm at is like I'm doing everything manual now. And it takes up so much more time than if you just post it once, like load it all in and like it goes and distributes. And so that makes it so much easier. So those are some great tips. I think this has been like so insightful just to talk about all these different things and answer some questions. And, another thing that kind of came to my mind is when we think about time, think about like, oh, that's another half hour of my day. I like to take a look at my phone at my how much time that I actually spend on it, and you see those hours and then maybe focus on what are those hours being allocated to. Maybe there's even some time when, when you're just scrolling and you're consuming, maybe there's even a minute like you can take a chunk of that time because we're all on our phones. So thinking about that time that's there, maybe a half hour of that could go into creating and posting. And then by doing that, creating that healthy habit, then you'll be more apt to do that instead. And so be instead of being that consumer mindset with the technology, you would be more of a like a business mindset. So that's another thing. If you're looking for more time, just take a look at your screen time and you can find a little bit. I think you can find a half hour in there for sure.
It's amazing what some of those numbers can end up looking like. I've had to like consciously focus. Like I'm not actually gonna shift away from spending time on the social media platforms, but I
Mhm,
can choose how I consume it. So I spend a far larger portion of my time during that same content consumption side of things,
mhm,
focused on what am I noticing,
mhm.
what types of content pieces grab my attention, what types of ads did I really like, and then I'll actually save them. Like I'll go back and I'll look at those again when I need inspiration of creating a new ad or a new content piece or something like that. So
Mhm.
I know that's not straight in how do we get more time to be able to do more posting, but if you find that you're not real good at putting the phone down and you're always going to continue to consume that content anyway, and you've got a marketing mindset, you might as well use that as a catalyst to get ideas and ways so that when you get to the creation part of the content, you've got some ideas, you've got some things you can go back to and say, hey, I really liked this. I think I can replicate some variations of that, and it can kind of take some of that off your plate.
Oh, that's such a great idea. Yes, like consuming the content and like you get so many ideas. I know I'm like always seeing quotes and things that I could kind of deep dive into or I could turn into, something that's of value and it makes it easier too when you're writing or getting on the microphone or when you're creating that content to just have those back pocket ideas and definitely love to write those down because then you have something to go off of and it's not like you're starting from scratch. You can pull inspiration from that. That's a really good tip.
Yeah, I'm gonna throw one more thing out there for I think for this group specifically, and especially since I talked a little bit about the like I'm on all these different platforms, and especially if you aren't at a point where you can use the platform the systems and technology to be able to schedule a whole bunch of things out at once. I think it's important to at least like articulate that you don't have to be on every single platform. It's kind
Mhm,
of the if you're getting started in this game, you want to start to kind of build up the social presence and things like that. You can go either wide then deep, which is essentially I'm on all the platforms, but I'm not mastering any of them yet. But I'm going to be out there all the time, and then I'm going to kind of start to get better at each platform as we go. Or I can go deep and then wide. I can get really, really good at like one. Like I'm gonna get
mhm,
phenomenal at Facebook, and I'm gonna get everyone to follow me on Facebook and do everything on Facebook and get engagement. And like you can do everything there on one platform. Then you're not worried about all these different platforms to post on. But picking that one, getting really good at it, and then moving to the next one and mastering that one. I
mhm,
tend to find that that tends to be a better place to start for most people because
mhm.
more often than not, you become a little bit more effective as well. At the end of the day, if you're going to be posting, you're going to be doing all this stuff. Find a way to make sure it provides a return of your time. It may not cost money to post, but it does cost your time, and that is an investment. There should be a return to that investment, even if it's just credibility in the marketplace. So mastering that first, getting a better handle of mastery in one versus like going on all platforms can actually be more effective in the long run.
Oh, that's a great tip too, and it really helps with like those feelings of overwhelm of like, oh, I have to be everywhere all the time. But yeah, just like start small, do one thing each week and then maybe add another, work on the habit stacking. Look at the technology that you have to, maybe schedule things out. So there's so many tips to make this process less daunting and more fun, which is what it's supposed to be. Think of it as a fun time engaging with the people that love your brand, that love you, and how do you want to talk to them today? So this has been great, Tanner. Thank you so much for this conversation.
Yeah, it's been fun. And for those of you that made it all the way to the end of this video, throw some comments in the bottom of this thing. Tell us some topics that you want to learn more about, or just things that we can kind of chat about and kind of provide our perspective on. If there's anything that you are just like super in love with and know really, really well, and you want to jump on and have some conversation with us, let us know. We'd love to kind of just continue to open up these conversations and share more value with the group overall and give you some tactical things to work through.
Definitely, definitely. Would love to hear from you. And thank you for tuning in to this recording.